This week's scenario is Standoff from the 2017 Steamroller packet. This scenario does have the Killbox Artifice in effect and consists of 2 circular zones which can be controlled by warrior units, warcasters, and warlocks for 1 CP, 2 rectangular zones which can be controlled by warjacks, warbeasts, battle engines, warcasters, and warlocks for 1 CP, and 2 objectives, each could be destroyed for 1 CP for the opposing player. Victory conditions consist of earning 5 more control points than your opponent or caster assassination.
Hey everybody, MacDaddy here, playing Severius 2 again. This time it's the same exact list as last time, just a really hefty battle group supported by Severius. It took me this was the first list I came up with Sevi. It's mostly just kind of me experimenting around with him, putting him on the table, getting some work, seeing what Sevi does. The entire premise is Sevi does a lot of personal work, can mulch infantry for days, and the battle group kind of makes up for his shortcoming, which is cracking armor and dealing with opposing heavies. Templars hit like a ton of bricks, they're really durable, and the Reckoners provide some chip damage on the approach and an assassination threat with awareness. Blessing of Vengeance is obviously there because you take Blessing of Vengeance with Sevi, they're the best buddy cops out there. And his bond with Severius is really good because POW 15 Hex Blast and POW 12 Ashes to Ashes are just super good.
Hey everybody, this is Gaston, and today we're engaging in some Rasky business. The list I built is fairly typical of a Rask zoo list, where you have a lot of the lessers. There's Dahlia and Skarath, there's Romance Snapjaw, there's Rorsh and Brine. But one of the things I wanted to add into this was a pair of Swamp Hordes. I feel like the addition of the chain weapon and the 4-inch reach that it provides was a real big plus for them. And then you couple that with Overtake and Theme, and they can really kind of go through infantry. They can pull things in unexpected ways, and I think they synergize very well with Rask. One of the other decisions that I made was I opted for a pair of Gremlin Swarms in order to shore up my scenario game. It's something that I've seen with Barnabas 2 a bit, where I'll be ahead on attrition, I'll lose on scenario, and I'd really rather be proactive about fixing that in my list and with the decisions that I make as I play.
Okay, so turn 1, I'm going into this, and I'm like, crap. There's a bunch of heavies that out-threat my heavies. Swamp Hordes completely ignore my tech to negate the fact that I have no threat extenders with Enliven, which is to commit a heavy to me, take a charge attack, and then walk away with Enliven, and then Oracular to burn off the free strike, which is actually pretty awesome. Except Swamp Hordes have pull, so that's not even an option. They also have chain weapon tentacles, so my shield is useless on my Templars. I'm in trouble. Rask also has a feat that turns me off for a turn, so I'm in really big trouble. So going into this matchup, I know that attrition's not an option, and I can't actually push scenario fast enough to consider scenario as an option, even though I have units to score the round zones. He's got Gremlin Swarm, so they can stall scenario pretty long enough. Sevi can deal with them. The problem is, of course, stealth, but I have my feet for that. But if he spreads them up and I use my feet to burn a Gremlin Swarm, then that's not a good deal. Stupid little annoying ghost gremlins. Goodness gracious, I hate those things. If Sevi has Eyeless Sight, like if I had brought Visgoth and Ropeman, I wouldn't even be super concerned, because I'd just be like, Arc, destroy one, and then Sevi himself with a Hierophant throws a Ashes to Ashes or something at the other and just blows them off the table. But I don't have Visgoth or Ropeman in this list. It's something that they're really hard to fit in. They cost a lot of points, 9 points, and they're really useful. It's just really hard to fit them in a list without sacrificing a lot of other things. So this turn, just playing really aggressively. My ultimate goal is to assassinate, push my caster up the board, throw Blessing of Vengeance somewhere super relevant, and hopefully get into a position where I can force him to pop feet just to protect Rask from assassination turn 1. So putting my Reckoners really far up the board, and going from there. He's got Veil of Mist, so he pretty much ignores that for us. But yeah, so just playing super aggressive.
When you're playing Will Work for Food, it's always a little bit painful when you lose that starting roll and you have to go second. It's just so good to be able to kind of thunder up the field with the +2 speed and really take a large chunk of the scenario a really good advantage. In this case, however, he got the roll to go first, and he has these Idrians, and they have preyed one of my Swamp Hordes, my beautiful babies that I want to be able to use this game. Obviously that's unacceptable. So what I'm doing here is I'm seeing where Rask can move, where I can drop a cloud for Veil of Mist, and see if I can't run that Swamp Horde who has prey on him behind the cloud and block off the Idrians. Even though the Swamp Horde does have impervious flesh, I do feel like preyed Idrians can hit hard enough with their guns, and that the Swamp Horde's armor is low enough that they can do a significant amount of damage, if not even possibly kill him with some lucky dice rolls. To that extent, what I'm doing here is pre-planning, and I'm seeing I cannot stop all the Idrians from kind of towing into the cloud and seeing through it, but I'm trying to determine what's an acceptable amount. Is it 4 Idrians walking in? Is it going to be 5 Idrians? And as you can tell, I'm taking a lot of time here, and when you hear people talk about on podcasts analysis paralysis, that's exactly what's going on here. I'm trying to figure out, where do I run my Swamp Horrors first? Do I run the one before the other? Can I fit it around the objective? And I'm going back and forth a lot here. One of the things I'm trying to avoid doing is feeding on turn 1. And I really kind of sometimes prefer to save the feed. Feeding on turn 1 is something I view as more of a necessity more than anything else. But ultimately, once I get through all of my analysis paralysis, I find I can't put the Swamp Horde where I want it, where I think it'll be safe. I'm ultimately just going to end up feeding on turn 1 and saying, forget about it, whatever. So there's a lot of thought and a lot of words to go into, I'm going to feed on turn 1. Once I've made that decision, things get a lot easier actually. Rask is able to activate, he's going to go ahead, he's going to put Fury onto Brine, he's going to put Admonition onto the forward Swamp Horde, and he's going to lay down that Veil of Mists in order to kind of still create that cloud. And the idea behind Admonition with that cloud is that if the Idrians do walk in, then I can come forward and I can lock them all into combat. But if they don't come in, then, they're going to lose out on their ability to come forward and do some work. Otherwise, I'm measuring the threat range of a Reckoner walking. I am not terribly concerned about if it tramples, because at that point it'll only have 2 attacks that it can put in, and I feel like that's nowhere close to what's necessary in order to damage something like Snapjaw. The reason why I put Fury onto Brine is that I want to have this damage buff. He's such a forward-moving piggy. They call him, Ninja Pig because of diversionary tactics. That I want him to start with this damage buff so I can upkeep it. I can then put Rage on him. That'll bump him up to, I believe, POW 21 on the Tusks. You can Boundless Charge him, you can Diversionary Tactics, and he can go, move 5 inches, charge 10 inches, and then have 1 inch reach, so approximately 16 inches. And I have this advantage on this list, this terrain in particular, where I have this forest that I'm able to hide him behind. So then I can give him Pathfinder from the objective, I can Diversionary him into the forest, and now he's able to get in line of sight, whereas my opponent cannot get line of sight to him, unless I believe Awareness maybe can get through there. But again, I have my feet to protect him, and I have my feet to keep my stuff safe. The Gremlin Swarms, there's one on the extreme top and one on the extreme bottom. They're going to run into the zones just to contest, and the idea being that I want to spread them out as far as possible for Sevi's feet. His feet can be very dangerous, and it's going to impact the way that I use my solos a lot. I'm always going to keep some Fury on them in order to transfer, just as protection, so that way he can't kind of pick out my lessers with his feet, and then obviously the Gremlin Swarms I want to spread out a little bit as well. The addition of the Soul Slave is also, I believe, a really strong model for this list, because you can now spread around Boundless Charge even more, and you can upkeep Fury for free. That gives Rask a lot of ability to kind of move around his Fury, and a lot of efficiency that he previously had lacked. So I believe there's a lot of that this support model adds into the list. Obviously, Orin Midwinter is just going to move up, he's going to stealth, he's going to provide some spell cover for me.
Oh boy, there's a lot of heavies sitting there. Oh boy. It's my favorite thing to look at, a bunch of heavies that I can't charge or target with range attacks. Man, oh man, is this going to be great. Yeah, I'm so excited. This is going to be great. You see me pre-measuring some silliness there. I am legitimately considering doing some Ashes and Ashes shenanigans and just trying to pump Rask full of unboosted POW 10s and an unboosted POW 12 to try and assassinate him, because he's not camping anything, by targeting his objective. Because I can't damage the objective, but I can always just pump Ashes to Ashes off of it. But there's a problem with that. First off, there's other things closer to Rask. So realistically, on the D3, I have to roll 3+ each time. So if I roll a 1 or a 2 at all for any of these Ashes to Ashes, the assassination run just fails. And I'm still super considering it, but then you're going to see me at one point here notice that the Swamp Horror has admonitions. So if I were to move anything, like if I move Run Blessing of Vengeance up there, who I did give him Pathfinder. I think I'm still in my maintenance phase actually, but I do end up giving him Pathfinder if I'm correct. But I consider giving him Pathfinder, running exactly to where you see the pre-measuring stuff is, staying out of reach, but also not triggering admonition in such a way that it'll ruin the assassination run. And the truth of the matter is I just can't. It's super long shot. Rask is just, if he hadn't defeated, that would have been tasty. It would have been fish soup on the Protectorate dinner. Not that we eat fish, that kind of fish, because that's probably heretical. And Sevi would probably bop enough people for that. So running Idrian here to trigger admonition just to see what he does. Because if he backs him up, then this assassination run is completely over. If he moves him forward, then I has a chance, and I might actually be able to go for that. So that's why that Idrian's there. I'm running to jam, but really the main reason I ran these Idrians is not just to jam, because with Arcane War they're def 15, even with Overtake, I'll use a mat 6 everywhere, so that's not good. But because I've already pre-measured the assassination and everything, Gaston makes a smart choice, and he just backs him up, because now I need to roll 5s and 6s to have a chance at killing Rask. If that Swamp Horror is not there, it might actually be worth it to go for it, just because it's open, and like worst comes to worst, I trade. But basically, that's all I was doing. I was trying to bait that to see what would happen, and exactly what happened. So now just running the Idrians to jam. I could have sat still and mini-feeded, but I think just running to jam is better. The issue is that Rask has a Dispel Dart, so mini-feeding probably would have been the better option here. But I wasn't thinking about going into this. I was just thinking about tie him up as much as possible, shove Idrians forward, and create some layers just to make things difficult on his part. So they're just jamming, trying to stall for me on this bottom half of the table. I'm not even going to go to the top. I'm just going to hide behind the forest like a little pansy, because he just out-threats me for days. Dahlia and Skarath. Rorsh and Brine really terrify me because they have ridiculous threat angles, especially with Boundless Charge and such. So I'm for whatever reason, I'm still measuring this. I'm not sure why. I don't know if I'm going for the lesser or what all that is. I think I'm still looking at that assassination. I think I'm looking at what else I can shoot. I was seeing if I could get within 5 of the Soul Slave, and I just don't have the speed to do it. If I had Crick's Arc Nodes, I could. But yeah, I mean, it's just between the Gremlin Swarms and everything, there's literally no chance for me on scenario, and between his threat ranges and all the way he gets around my random defensive tech, there's no way for me attrition, so it's pretty much just assassination or bust here. Luckily for me, in order for him to do work, Rask is typically not camping much, otherwise his battle group's going to stall. So basically what I'm going to do here, I'm shoving heavies forward, I'm going to force him to deal with my stuff, and I'm going to try to bait him out to overcommitting his stuff. I have to be really careful here. One of the reasons this turn is taking me a really long time and I'm awkwardly just moving my tape measure back and forth is because I'm really nervous about Rorsh and Brine. If he can free them up, that stupid piggy's going to get everywhere thanks to Veil of Mist and Boundless Charge and diversionary tactics. It's just, the threat ranges are so absurd. They're so hard to plan around. Luckily, even if he gets to me with Oracular and stuff, as long as he doesn't knock me down and him only being mat 6, I don't have terrible odds as long as he doesn't get to walk there. If he gets to walk there, it's just guaranteed. But if he charges and has to burn a Fury, Sevi actually is not too terribly. There's a decent chance of him surviving if Rorsh gets there. But basically, that's why I'm taking so long. I'm pre-measuring threat ranges like crazy. I'm avoiding threat ranges of his heavies. Luckily, even with Boundless Swamp Horrors, they're still speed 4. So they're kind of super slow. So I'm just avoiding Swamp Horror threat ranges, because if there's one thing I've learned from games, it's that even if I try to jam, typically my opponent is good enough to figure out how to jam. So especially when you're playing against someone like Gaston. So that guy is just moving up and He, I think, gives the focus to the Templar because Enliven's pointless. Sevi's going to try to keep a bit because he wants to do work this turn. I think I didn't allocate any because I was just seeing about the assassination, so I'm just handing out focus. One of the things I love about Creator's Might is the reposition. You'll see me just like meandering things around, and it's pretty hilarious watching support staff shoot around the table. But the reposition is super helpful in matchups where like they have Electro Leaps or something like Ashes to Ashes or Trick Shot or anything like that, because you can back 4 inches away from your heavy so that they don't get molested by random things like that. In the Nemo 3 matchup, this list, the reposition is huge because I can continue to make my stuff immune to his shooting and be immune to Electro Leaps too while having this wall of jacks that I just hide behind. And Def 19 Idrians are actually hard to hit under many feet, which is kind of hilarious. So anyway, so I'm just running, meandering. My Reckoners are going to run up there. I'm just playing really aggressive at this point, shoving whatever I can forward. The key here is to just make sure that I don't just feed him a heavy for no reason. So Choir's going to move up. They're just, I think they're singing no shooting. They're definitely not singing battle. They might be singing no spells. It might be no shooting though. I'm honestly not sure. It's kind of irrelevant because he has no guns. It's probably no shooting. Because his Pathfinder, objective's Pathfinder, doesn't really have that much magical shooting. The only mass spell I'm really worried about is Orin. That Templar goes in the trench. He could have played... Oh no, there he goes. He's playing a little bit more aggressively, just avoiding the Swamp War threat, because Swamp War is dumb. Trying to limit where Rorsh and Brine can get to. I'm kind of putting them there. I should have probably faced his arc a little different to protect Sevi, where I'm going to move him. I'm going to put him behind the Templars. This Reckoner moves back. That was a mistake. I think I was trying to protect him from Rorsh and Brine. There's no reason for me to play him back that far, regardless of what happens. He could play a little bit farther forward, and shoving Blessing in front of him was just dumb. I was thinking with the Repulsor Shield it gets pretty hard, but basically I'm making a line of jacks, and moving 70 to a place where it's going to be hard for him to get to him with Rorsh and Brine. So here comes the Hierophant. He's going to harmoniously exalt and all that stuff.
I'll admit that my opponent talking about that potential assassination run really put the fear of Menoth into me, and impacted a lot on how I'm playing and how I'm approaching this game. I'm very nervous about his ability to pick on Rask, so it's pushing me towards looking very aggressively for an assassination end to this game. Particularly with Sevi where he's located at, I feel like if I can free up the one Swamp Whore, he can come in, he can pull that Templar out of the charge range, and then I can deliver Brine into Sevi, and he's got old man stats, so that should pretty much go in my favor. However, there's a lot going on in between me and getting to that objective, and I have a lot of Idrians to clear, and the Idrians are Arcane Warded, which nobody appreciates that. It's really just a jerk move to, buff your models. I don't know what he's thinking. Fortunately for me, Rask actually brings a bit of a solution to that, in the fact that he has Disruption and Dispel on his Harpoon Gun. The Dispel being the important part right now. So what he's going to end up doing is he's going to aim. He's going to boost a shot into the Idrian, who's kind of right in the middle there, who's not engaged by anybody, he's not dug in, so I'll be able to hopefully have a pretty good shot at hitting him, killing him, removing that defensive buff, and then I have a lot of models that can kind of chomp their way through there. The other things I'm looking at is having the Pathfinder the objective put Pathfinder onto Brine, so that way he can, just as we talked about last turn, move up into the forest using diversionary tactics. So I'm just going through here, I'm counting out my focus and seeing, what is the risk, because Rask does need to aim. So he's staying exactly where he's at, and we're kind of hoping for the best here. So Rask will activate its Sword of Activations. He's going to go first, he will hit his target, he will kill him, that'll get rid of the Dispel. After that, he's going to start buffing things. Obviously, he was able to upkeep Fury for free. Then now it's a question of how do I balance out Rage, how do I balance out Boundless Charge with access to the Wrastler and the Soul Slate. In this case, I decided to put both Rage and Boundless Charge onto the Swamp Whore, who I'm hoping is going to come over and kill off that Templar for me. Once Rask is activated, I now need to go through and start cleaning off all these Idrians who are jamming me up. One of my plan D's, plan F's, is to actually have Rorsh come up, and he's going to pop Diversionary Tactics on the two engaging Brine, kill them, and then they're going to move on off. I'd rather save that as a last resort because it does feel kind of dicey to me. I believe it's only a POW 6 off of memory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start kind of back towards my table edge and work my way forward on trying to kill all of these Idrians, use overtake, use lightning bounces in order to take care of things like that. So one thing I do is I do have the Soul Slave go ahead, and he's going to put Boundless Charge up on Brine as well, just to kind of get that out of the way. Then we have my Swamp Horror, who was so unfairly preyed at the beginning of the game. He's going to roll on up, he's going to start using his Chain Strike to make reach attacks, to kind of clear up Idrians. And unfortunately, even though he needs 7s to hit, he's just not rolling it quite well. So I think he kills maybe 2 Idrians with all of his attacks. I'm very, very unhappy with him, very unimpressed. Next up we have Orin. He's going to move on up. He's going to make sure he is within range of Rask to cancel any of these unfortunate spells coming my way, or at the very least bait out Sevi's feet if this assassination run does not go according to plan. Then he's going to Zot my Wrastler in the butt, and he's going to bounce to 2 Idrians, and we will randomize that. Unfortunately, it's the wrong 2 Idrians because that's the way these things work. And so we're working through it. We're working the problem. Next up, Kwaak and Gub. I love them, particularly in a list that's running all of these heavies, because you do have the option to do all the enlivens. You can get that extra movement shenanigans with enliven and admonition. And in this case, though, he's going to come up and he's going to enliven the snake, because the snake is steady, it can't be knocked down. It's a very good enliven target. But also he's going to use venom to spray down and kill off 2 Idrians, which really goes a long way to helping me out here. The enlivened snake is just going to run on into my opponent's zone, and he's going to kind of dare him, what are you going to do about it? I'm contesting now, and I'm enlivened, and I'm defense 14, I'm very hard to hit. It's going to cause you a lot of problems. And one thing I do really enjoy is causing my opponents problems. Now, one of the things that I was trying to do when I'm going through and I'm planning out this turn is, like I said, I'm really scared about this spell assassination now. The last time I played Sevi before this game was with Arcadius, and he went for a spell assassination that fortunately left me on 3 health, but I'm very nervous about it, I'm very cognizant about it. So before I take all the risk of going on the caster, I'm trying to see, is there a way I can shut down that Arc node by delivering Brine to the Arc node? The problem I'm running into is basically that you have the Repulsor Shield on Blessing of Vengeance, I believe it's called. So I'm going to be able to get in there, I'm going to be able to get 2 hits max, and then I'm just going to get bounced out. And it just feels like it's not good enough. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go with plan F, whatever number it was, and bring up Rorsh. He is going to successfully diversionary tactics all over those Idrians, and then move Brine forward as well. At this point, I've now freed up the Swamp Horror in order to come do his awful things to that Templar, and I have freed up Brine in order to charge in on Sevi. So all in all, things are going according to plan, where I'm able to charge in, I'm able to bump the camera, good things are happening for me. I'm ignoring the shields as I pull them in. You can do a lot of cute things with the Chain Strike and the drag or the pull, whatever rule he has. And additionally, because he does have Rage on him, he's actually, even though he's only 3 focus, he's getting a free charge, he has 4 initials, he's got 3 more buys, he's fairly high power, he's gonna be able to crunch through that Templar, and it's just gonna be fantastic for me. It is so good watching a model that for years has kind of struggled really shine. And I think this is a really good example of all the different things that Swamp Horror can bring to the table. So he's just going to go through, he's going to buy attacks, he's going to, jump, 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 jump on the Templar. At some point the shield goes out, and he is able to kill it with 1 Fury left. So we're kind of, just making decisions, seeing, is there anything else I can do? I still need to get the Wrastler to put Rage onto Brine. So I'm looking to see, is there a way that I can arrange a charge as well? So with the last attack of the Swamp Horror, I actually go ahead, I hit the Templar, drag him on in, and then I start looking for any sort of charge lanes for the Wrastler. And what I'm finding is that in order to charge the Templar with the Wrastler, I will not have line of sight to Brine to cast Rage on him. Very, very unfortunate for me. I'm not happy about that. but it's positioning. What can you do? Possibly if I had thought more in advance when I was positioning the Swamp Horror, I could have done something better, but I didn't really think about it at the time. So instead, the Wrastler is going to be very boring. He's just going to come on up, he's going to put Rage on Brine, and he's going to go munch on a couple Idrians for fun of it. We don't like Idrians. Again, they like to prey my Swamp Horror, and, you know, we've got to make them pay. So he'll chomp on one, he's going to kind of overtake back to safety a little bit. Just in case, you know, something goes wrong, just in case the Templar or the Reckoner, you always want to kind of plan ahead. But we're getting to the coup de grace, which is Brine on Old Man. So he's going to come on in, he's going to boost with the Tusks, looking for that crit. Doesn't get it, but he does get the hit, which Sevi has Oracular Vision, and he's able to get rid of that. A couple more Fists come in, and they all miss. And then we are down to boosting, getting the knockdown, which is great, and then hitting him again, which is also great, but not killing him, which is super unfortunate for me. And so what all that does is that kind of puts me in a bit of a tizzy here, where I'm like, how in the world do I stay alive now? And so one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Chef, I'm going to run him into the Idrians, so I'm going to feel really silly if I die from Idrians shooting Rask. The other things I'm going to start looking at doing is, can I pull Wrong Eye Snapjaw forward in order to stop the Blessing of Vengeance from running and getting shots onto Rask? The thing is I don't think that can happen. So we're just kind of trying to recover from that.
Holy flying pig, Batman. I mean, seriously, Mother of Harbinger, what the heck just happened to me? What the actual heck just happened? I mean, this is what I was worried about in the matchup. The pull on the Swamp Horrors is super good. I have really no way to deny it. I thought I had blocked myself pretty good from Captain Piggy, but overtake and all that stuff and diversionary tactics is just really good. I also completely forgot that Rask has a Dispel Gun in my first turn. I should have swapped Arcane Ward to Sevi. If I do, hilariously, that crit knockdown misses. He rolled like 1-1-6. So if I'm Def 16, he would have missed that, which would have been super great. But he just happened to roll exactly that. Luckily, I survive on one box and all that jazz. I mean, it's just he needs 8s to hit Sevi. Even without Arcane Ward, he needs to get that crit knockdown for him to do anything or have anything meaningful. So you're going to see, I moved Sevi, hashtag cheating, if you ever want to cheat, that's the way to do it. So I moved Sevi and then activate Blessing of Vengeance, because I just had a brain fart. Luckily Gaston didn't supercharge me with it. So I'm going to run Numbnuts up there, Blessing of Vengeance. He's going to stand there and be like, hey, I see you, Rask. And then Rask is sitting on one transfer. This was the game plan. Gaston committed fully assassination, so Rask isn't camping much. And then Sevi's just going to start blasting him. So watch this, guys. Remember the Issy game where I missed the boosted roll? Just wait. Just wait. Here comes the free spell, the free Magic Ability 10 Hex Blast. I don't think I boost it. Hold on, I think I'm considering here. I need to check just to be sure. Yep, I don't boost it. Oh, I do boost it. Okay. No, I'm feeding and lighting nerds on fire. I think I boosted against Brine and didn't kill him, which was super depressing. Which was super greedy and depressing. I was really hoping to kill Brine. Anyway, so here we go. Do I boost? I'm waiting. I'm sorry, guys. I don't remember if I boost. Yep, I don't boost. Watch me roll, guys. Watch me roll. Watch it. Wait for it. Oh, it misses. Yep, it misses. Yep, that happened. So, so I casted it. Luckily, I got Harmonious off. I hit him. I boost damage. Forces a transfer because I spiked ridiculously hard. And then I'm going to cast again. And I boost a hit. Because apparently I can't roll sixes. I roll less than a 4 on 2 dice apparently. And I roll and I don't think I think I'm camping actually for some reason. Because I don't have enough Fury to focus to cast the other spell. So I force his Trampers. This Reckoner's going to walk up and try to shoot. And then we realize he can't get there. So, oops. That's not good, dude. Oh, wait. Can he? Nope, he can't. He can't get there. I think I nudged Rask out, but that's okay. So that was super depressing. Luckily, I casted Awareness. I think that was what I just did. That's what I did with my focus, because I needed to get the Reckoners there to shoot him, and I need to ignore models for line of sight. So I'm just seeing desperately if I can get to him and shoot, and I can't. I don't know if that was because I nudged him or what the deal with that was, but I have super shaky hands, so I'm gonna do stupid stuff like that and be bad. The Templar's gonna be clutch, beat back super good on them, so I'm gonna walk in here. I'm not gonna kill the Swamp Horror, but I'm gonna beat the living snot out of it. And by living snot, I mean I'm just going to bump him around so that my Reckoner can walk up and take a fully boosted shot at Rask, and pray to Lord he doesn't miss. So Reckoner is, so I beat him back. Templar does a good job. I don't do that much damage to Swamp Horror because of Impervious Flesh. Reckoner's going to walk up. He's going to take a boosted shot at Rask, and I pray to Lord that he hits. Oh, thank Menoth, he hit. He gets crit fire hilariously, and I boost damage, and I leave him on one box, which is pretty funny. And then pray, I'm literally praying that fire is my ally here. It doesn't go out, and then I kill Rask with the fire damage roll. So, woo, that was stressful. Way more stressful than it needed to be.
Death by fire, what a way to go. Certainly didn't see that one coming for poor Rask. I thought he could almost make it through, but it was not to be. I think I kind of failed on both tactical and strategic levels in this game. Strategically, when I was building the list, a very common choice that you can take is a Battle Boar on Rorsh and Brine in order to provide Primal and you don't get the same POW, but you do get Mat 8, which makes obviously a big difference when you're going for assassinations. I thought I could be more clever and take the Gremlin Swarms and a Chef instead. The reasoning being, as I had mentioned before, scenario play. But what I discovered, watching this game and playing through it, is that Rask can really spread out a lot more than Barnabas can, so it's less of a concern. And so I can go and make those adjustments to my list in order to make things stronger. Obviously, tactically, I could have played a safer game with Rask and a longer attrition battle, where if I started doing things like taking out 2 of his heavies and camping enough Fury on Rask, then I would have been very difficult to assassinate, while at the same time being very far ahead on attrition and eventually on scenario, particularly if I can get Rask up into that top zone, which had basically nothing in it, and start scoring that. But I hope you're able to learn from my mistakes, and I hope this game was worth watching and everyone enjoyed it. Thank you all.